Welcome to small group. You know, generally speaking, the Bible tells us that if you and I are still alive, well, not only is God not through with us yet, but it just might well be that the best is yet to come in terms of our usefulness for God's purposes. And I believe that perhaps one of the greatest, if not the greatest illustration of that in the Bible, of that principle, is the story of Elijah, the story of Elijah. Now, Elijah was a prophet in the Old Testament, a great prophet. And he was made famous, if you will, because he was opposing the wicked King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. And he thought he was a failure, but God had other ideas. Elijah is unique because from our standpoint in God's redemption history, Elijah actually has a past, a present, and a future. He has a past back in the Old Testament when he ministered with great power, but he thought he had failed in bringing the people of Israel back to God. He has a present because God took him up to heaven. That's what the Old Testament says, and promised in the very last book of the Bible that God would bring back Elijah before the coming of God's day of judgment at the end of time. He made that promise, and ever since the Jewish people, those who are devout, will leave a place for Elijah and open the door for Elijah during their Passover celebrations. And Jesus even confirmed that God was going to do what he said he was going to do in Matthew at the Mount of Transfiguration. He said, yes, Elijah will come according to God's plan and will help bring back the people of Israel to their God. And finally, there is a future, because in the book of Revelation, in the days just preceding the second coming of Christ, the Bible describes someone, actually two witnesses, that indeed come and bring the people of Israel and prepare their hearts for the second coming of Christ successfully. So, for all time then, God demonstrates through Elijah that just when you think that you're done, just when you think you're a failure, well, it may be that the best is yet to come, and maybe that's the way it is with you and I. So enjoy the questions and see if God doesn't speak to you about whatever situation you might be in. Perhaps it's discouraging. Perhaps there's a word for you in this lesson. God bless you. See you next Sunday.